Ladies and gentlemen, the EFF is in turmoil. It is imploding. Or is it? Before we get on to the main story, can I once again, ladies and gentlemen, ask you, please subscribe to this channel and help us on our journey to 100,000 subscribers. So before we get on to the main story, some more clown world from Blighty. Yes, I know some of you may be getting bored of Blighty's nonsense. It's just so funny. So according to the latest news, apparently the latest thing that they are outlawing in the UK is misogyny. Yep, you heard me correctly. Misogyny now is deemed to be a form of extremism, equivalent to terrorism. This is according to the Home Secretary, who has been tasked with producing a counter-extremism strategy. So apparently this misogyny includes both online and misogyny in the streets, because according to the Home Secretary, it frays the very fabric of society. And the democracy, always protect the democracy by banning democracy. You know how that works. So you heard it here. Apparently the far right and misogyny are now extremism. And what the UK government needs to do is de-radicalize the young people. So what exactly is misogyny? Well, that's not defined. So it could be calling a girl fat or ugly, or saying she's not very good at her job. Some others say that maybe it means the incel movement, but it does appear like the only real person that's been pointed to at the moment as being definitively misogynist is Andrew Tate. Yep, they created an anti-Tate bill. So the anti-Tate bill, as I will hereforth declare it, aims to imprison anybody who doesn't go along with regime narrative. But would they do that? Well, according to this clip, yes they would. Have a watch.
We will guarantee a prison cell. We will make sure that those people who need to be in prison will be in prison, not necessarily in the area where they live. They may be 200-300 miles away from home, but we will guarantee people a prison cell.
The numbers are so tight there. How can you make that guarantee?
They are tight, and that's why we've initiated Operation Early Dawn. So basically, the easiest way to describe it is one in, one out. So as people get released, we can then pick up people from police cells and take them to court, and we will triage that 3 times a day.
So according to this clip, the government himself actually says that what they are going to be doing is releasing 5,000 criminals so they can make way for online hate bills. Yep, that's what they're doing. In other news, Mmusi Maimane is releasing a book, and no one cares. Onto some news that people actually care about. ENCA actually did a review. They called it the Grocery Price Index Review. And in this review, they basically asked the question, what is the most affordable shop in South Africa? Long story short, it's Spar. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Is Spar the best shop to shop at? So on to the main story. Yesterday I covered the story about the fallout between Floyd, Shivambu and Julius Malema. Now you may recall that when I announced the departure of Floyd Shivambu, I did say during that video that the entire thing seemed cordial and they wished each other well. I did also say this isn't going to last and that when the skeletons come out the closet, people are going to be pointing fingers. And pointing fingers they are now doing. So let us actually go back in time to the 18th of August when, in a Times Live article, Floyd Shivambu declared, why did he leave the EFF? And this, according to him, was actually very easy to understand. And that was, during the GNU negotiations, according to Floyd, Julius Malema went behind his back and attempted to negotiate the deputy president of the country with Cyril Ramaphosa. And in exchange, Floyd got nothing. Now, if you recall, in the run-up to the elections, Julius kept saying, I don't want deputy president. All I want you to do is make Floyd finance minister. If you do that, you have my support. And according to Floyd, that's not what Julius did when it all came down to it. He attempted to negotiate positions behind his back that excluded Floyd. So Floyd says he felt incredibly disrespected by Julius. This is in contrast to what Julius Malema told his audience. He said, we must prepare for war. I mean, war against the MK party, because, now they're ideological opponents, even though they believe in the same ideology. And Julius asked Floyd, what have I done to you? Well, Floyd already told you, bud. He says that you negotiated a position and you attempted to exclude him from the levers of power. Now, many in the press have already been predicting a mass exodus from the EFF. And Julius tells those party members, if you don't want to be here, leave. Now, I for one say this is a rather bad strategy, Julius, because you see, when you ask people to leave, generally they do. Julius encourages everybody to remember why they joined the EFF. He says, those of you who still believe in the EFF should be rejuvenized by the EFF and help it succeed.
Remind ourselves why we joined the EFF. Our organization turned 11 years old on the 26th of July 2024. And we marked this milestone by recommitting ourselves to the ideals and principles that are within our founding manifesto and the organizational documents that guides us. One such a document which was discussed and adopted at the Second National People's Assembly of the EFF in 2019 is the organizational redesign document, which reminds us who we are and how we ought to wage this struggle for liberation. It is this document, along with our founding manifesto, that informs the character and form of our struggle, and the aims within it that makes us the most dependable vehicle for the return of the land and the defeat of racism and imperialism. It is in this document that we seek to build this movement beyond individuals and build an EFF that manifests itself in the following ways: a Marxist-Leninist, Fanonian pan-continental movement with unquestionable ability to lead the whole of society towards economic freedom.
And to help it succeed, Julius has done the most predictable thing ever. He's centralized all command in himself. All of the positions that were previously Floyd's are now his. All of the structures that were previously Floyd's are now his. He intends to use his iron grip on the party to squeeze out any Floydism, as I shall call it, and in response return the party to the former glory of Julianism. And for proof of that, watch this clip.
Fighters, we must make sure that all our councillors and all the deployees are disciplined and continue to pursue that which they have been deployed for. The GTU shall fall under the office of the president, and all powers that belong to the deputy president will go into the office of the president. And everything else that looks like the former deputy president shall be dismantled in the EFF and then gotten rid of with immediate effect. The GTU and all those who served in the GTU under the deputy president are dissolved. You want to deploy anyone into the government on behalf of the EFF, you shall report to the office of the president. We are taking charge of our organization now. We are tired of entrusting in the hands of wrong people. We have been betrayed for too long. We have been sold out for too long. We have been trusting for too long. We need to take it into our hands and run it ourselves.
You may recall that Floyd's response to leaving the party was that I would no longer be renewing my membership, not really that he was resigning or leaving. He just was going to let his membership lapse, which means that he would no longer be a member of the party. This is rather interesting because the EFF have now taken to social media to encourage people to renew their membership. They've never really done that before. So clearly they're worried. Why are they worried? Oh, that's because some other key prominent members of the EFF are also now using the line of, we are not renewing our membership. So what's the upshot of this? Well, the first upshot is that the divorce is clearly not amicable. And for those of you who predict that this may have been an inside job or some kind of strategy to influence the MK party, yeah, no, that's not what's happened. This is a genuine fallout between the two guys. And this fallout is unlikely to have positive ramifications for the two. In other words, it's going to be very difficult for them to reconcile. In fact, what it actually means is that the Progressive Caucus as a whole is unlikely to get any further than the current startup position. The two are unlikely to see eye to eye, and it's most likely that the two will move further away from each other than towards each other, in the manner that's often predicted, in other words, a merger between the two parties. Currently, with Julius at the helm, that doesn't look likely, and a EFF without Julius also doesn't look likely, specifically in line with the iron grip that he now intends to exert on the party. This has even led some EFF student campuses around the country to say there's no progressive caucus at their university, it's an EFF student union. In other words, they have no intention to cooperate with the Progressive Caucus. So what's the conclusion of all this? Well, it looks like the EFF will suffer a form of decline or form of shrinking as the outflows go from the EFF to the MK party. And it looks like the MK party and the EFF party will consider themselves ideological opponents, even though they believe in the same thing. In other words, what we actually have here is a conflict of two personalities. And whilst those two personalities are at the helm of the parties, it's unlikely they are ever going to see eye to eye. And this in itself has led Fikile Mbalula to chime in. And Mr. Mbalula says, we should all pray for Floyd Shivambu because it's unlikely he will survive in the MK party. He says, we all know what Jacob Zuma's like. He changes his cabinet at the last minute and he doesn't consult anybody. It's just whether or not you have the favor of the day. And according to Mr. Mbalula, yeah, that's unlikely to carry with Floyd forever. He said all of this whilst at a memorial service, and during that, he actually said to Julius the most base comment ever, and I quote, he says, "I greet the leaders of the opposition, though the opposition is only one person, which is Malema. He knows we always defeat him here in Limpopo. I don't want to speak about Julius because he won't get the opportunity to reply. I had to greet Malema because he will hold a press conference saying, I did not greet him, and this sounds very much like Julius. He will always do a press conference for some rubbish." But nevertheless, Floyd has had the following response to make. He says that joining the MK party was the most solid and sound decision ever, that he joined the MK party to be actively involved in shaping the politics of the country, and that no specific position has been promised to him. Either way, whether or not a position has been promised to him remains irrelevant. The two parties are clearly not going to see eye to eye in the near future. They have clearly fallen out, and it does look like reconciliation between the two parties is unlikely to be forthcoming in the immediate future. But anyway, you let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until next time,